It's an unusual day for Unusual Machines, ticker UMAC, up 25%, adding on to big recent gains as the company filed a notice led by the CEO's commentary. He's joining us here this afternoon talking about a potential short report that could create a negative news cycle. Allan Evans joins us this afternoon. Allan, thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Sorry you're getting me from a hotel instead of from the office. Normally the background's more interesting.
We're happy to have you because, it's holidays and you guys have got some of the most interesting action in the market. There's a lot to talk about. You guys went public in February upon the acquisition of 2 drone-related businesses. Donald Trump Jr. joined your board last month. The shares were up a ton. And then you put out this notice today saying basically, heads up, we think there might be short sellers ready to spin a negative news cycle. So let's start there. What do you know? Why do you need to put that statement out?
I got some very credible information over the weekend that for political reasons, there might have been a real negative news cycle. One where, you attack the company, integrity, execution, everything else. But, those sorts of things suck because we are trying to build just an American drone company. And when I have really credible information like that, it's my obligation to be sure that our shareholders are aware. The response today has been awesome, right? I have so much appreciation for everybody who's involved in the company and who holds stock because I didn't expect today's reaction. So we have an awesome investor base.
That's you're up 20%.
Yeah, no idea, no intention of doing any of that. I just take being transparent very seriously. And when we have information like that, I had to put together a letter over the weekend and get my lawyers involved and say, all right, we have an obligation to the market to let them know. So I'm glad we were able to get it out. And again, the response has been humbling. When people really respond that way, you're like, all right, everybody wants us to succeed.
Sure.
And to really bring manufacturing back. So it's really cool. It's been a really good day.
So tell me about what you know. Did the short seller contact you? You just kind of heard it through the grapevine? Did somebody call you asking for comment on something in particular?
No, I heard it through the grapevine.
Okay.
But from a couple places, super credible. And, since Donald Trump Jr. joined our advisory board, these are the sorts of things that come with being high profile, that come with, some of the polarization in politics and other stuff. So I just, again, really happy with the shareholder response. Everybody's been great about it. And it probably will happen some more. It's new for me, that's for sure, these sorts of things. So again, we just default to full transparency.
Fair enough.
In terms of how we communicate, which is, you're like, all right, got to do it. For a small company, this is kind of it's been a fascinating day. You kind of intimated that with Don Jr. joining as an advisor. I want to make sure I get that straight. He is on the board as well, right? No. Okay. No, he's not on our board of directors. He is just on our advisory board.
The advisory board. Got it. Okay, so he's on the advisory board. So you think maybe targeted because of that. You also mentioned in your statement today, you remind folks who are just catching up to the story or didn't know that when you went public through the acquisition, there was an auditor that you guys used. I believe it was a Canadian auditor that you put in your statement when you went public saying that, hey, we're not sure what's going on. They might have issues. That might be a situation. You guys got a different auditor, and that auditor did indeed have some infractions relative to Canadian regulators. You put that in today's statement, as well as the fact that you changed locations from Puerto Rico to Nevada. Did any of that stuff have to do with any of the short rumblings?
No, I mean, I don't actually know what the exact short rumblings are. I just know if somebody's going to attack you, they're going to pick integrity, they're going to pick execution, they're going to pick motivation. So we just wanted to put out there that we're trying to operate with integrity, that our motivations, we communicate clearly, and that we're executing, I think, really at a high level for a small team. Okay. So just trying to get in front of the vectors of attack by reminding people and linking them to public information on what we've done in the last year.
Got it. You said in the statement today, today's media landscape is easy to throw around accusations like pump and dump. Your shares are obviously up a ton. I mean, they're up like 500% basically since November. Tell me how overall you're looking at that situation in terms of either your financing abilities, I mean, the valuation obviously is enormous. I think based on your most recent filings, you guys did a couple million in revenue. Correct me if I'm wrong there, but I mean, it's an exorbitant valuation for the company, like $200 million market cap right now.
So I get this a lot. We went from what I would say is value-based market cap, which is where, we've publicly said we do probably at least 5 million in revenue this year, to what I think is forward-looking market cap. And you saw certain companies sustain a forward-looking valuation for a long time, and they're able to realize it. Amazon did it for a long time. They weren't profitable for a while. Tesla very famously did it. They, were in front of underlying financials and then realized that value made people a lot of money. Uber is another example. And so we really have moved now to what I see as people looking forward at the market opportunity and our likelihood of filling out that market opportunity. And I think we can sustain that and help people realize that forward-looking valuation. In particular, with all the legislation, the American Securities Drone Act, the conflicts in Ukraine, this move to onshore, coupled with the fact that for backpack-sized drones, which is what we work in, that the parts market in 2023 was $20 billion, 90 to 95% of that was serviced by Chinese companies. So there's this huge legislative void. There's probably a $10 million plus TAM, and there's no one who's filled it yet. So, that pull, that market pull, that huge vacuum, and the unique opportunity that we have put us in a position where I think you're seeing the market say, oh man, I think these guys have a really good chance to be one of the winners in that vacuum. And so I see it more that way. When I was young, somebody told me the stock market is just people predicting, and they're betting that this thing's going to make them more money than something else. And I think people are looking at the market opportunity and now giving us, they're favoring us a little more to maybe win a bigger chunk of the market share.
I can certainly see the argument for, we see drones showing up more and more and more. Sometimes it's creating quite a bit of social stir. Maybe if we've got time on that for your thought. But take me through the finances, because I know you guys just went public in February, combined two businesses, one of which you were the CEO on. Your revenues and profits, what are you booking right now? Because it looks like for the last filing, a couple $1 million in revenue. Is that correct?
What we told people is we expect to do 5 or better this year. So that's what's public. We're on track of that last quarter. So we expect to do 5 million or more this year. Okay. I mean, that's what's out there.
So then that, just based on, obviously your valuation is enormous. Do you have any do you feel you have any financial duty to issue shares at this point? Give yourself more cash for operations? Any debt? I know you have some debt out there. What can you do financially with a valuation like this?
Oh, we don't have any debt out there. We cleared it. The only thing we have is common stock and then a few warrants that are cash only. Okay. We have a little bit of cash in the bank. Our burn last quarter was only $500K. So I think when you look at this valuation, we're S3 eligible in February. Our 8K will be filed in March. I think we continue to operate. Obviously, when you look at this, we should be thoughtful about acquisitions. So we could talk to people about using some equity for acquisitions if they match our profile and our cash flow parameters. So we'll start to have those discussions. But I think we're going to want to bring in strategic, really aligned investors, probably in the March timeframe. It's one of the advantages of, and I think the primary place where Donald Trump Jr. can act as an advisor. He works at 1789. There's a whole lot of people in the organization and in that ecosystem that believe in this type of investment thesis. And so I think we have maybe an unusual opportunity for a microcap company to get a really good investor set to help us grow this thing and, just really bring back a new industry to the U.S. that in terms of supply chain. So we're pretty excited, but we also feel like we should just let people know what we're doing. And that's what it looks like.
The potential growth from here, you mentioned acquisition. You're primarily making parts for drone makers. Would you get into the drone making business? Tell me how those two things fit together.
Yeah, we probably won't get into the drone making business. Okay. You don't want to compete with your customers. Nobody likes that, right? If we're like, okay, here's a motor flight controller, here's a motor, here's all that sort of stuff, and then we're like, oh yeah, but we're going to go try to sell against you. So we're really just trying to work with everybody and do that. I think the next place where you could see us go is the other side. the fleet management software. So if you have drones from company A, B, and C, how do you get them to all work together? I think that's another place we can serve the industry without competing with our customers, and we can serve the same customers. But I don't think we want to get into the actual final drone business.
Got it. Makes sense. Hey, Allan, real quick, give me like a 45-second thought on the New Jersey thing and what's going on. Because at one point, FAA disallowed drone flights and air travel for a moment. I mean, what do we make of that?
First, it's interesting because they all have lights on. So if it was nefarious, they wouldn't be lit up. Otherwise, past that, I really don't know. Just to have a quip on hand, because it's the holidays, I've been telling everybody they're testing the Santa tracker, which makes sense. But no, I think it's really interesting. But it looks like it's probably different individuals or other groups like that flying larger things, maybe some red team stuff to see how we domestically respond. But when you look, they're running with lights and everything else, so they're doing it to draw attention, at least, and that to me is interesting.
All right, well, we will look and we will monitor for any negative news cycle from shorts. If I guessed the short, would you tell me if I were right?
I don't know who it is.
You don't know who it is? Okay.
I have a pretty good idea, but I can't guarantee it, so no.
Okay, all right. Allan, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.